Welcome, everybody, to another Unboxed Pod. This is episode 65. I'm your host today, Kareem Anderson. I'm joined by
David Allen. Hope everybody's doing well. And for our U.S. listeners, I hope you had a good 4th last week. We're glad to be back in business.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't in the U.S. and are hopefully on your holiday, hope you guys are enjoying that, getting a little bit away from technology or the everyday grind, but we're glad you're here to join us. We have some news, even though it's going into the slower months of tech news cycle. We'll be talking about Microsoft Teams getting threads finally in the UIs support system, so that it just becomes easier to communicate. We'll be talking about a new model coming to Microsoft to help kind of combat against AI bloat in the cloud. It's a smaller model focused on mathematics and research, but hopefully with this new focus, we start to get better use cases for AI. We also have OpenAI threatening the world with a new browser. We'll talk about one, the issue of browsers, and two, the difficulty in breaking in. And just because you have AI doesn't mean that it's going to work. Then we get into our gaming section.
Ask Microsoft about how hard it is to break into the browser business.
Exactly. After dominating it. It's the crazy part. Then we're getting into the fun gaming section. So we'll get the news out of the way first. Then we'll get into gaming. Delta Force is coming to Xbox. We'll give you the date on that. We get some bad news about Forza Motorsport, and it's related to Microsoft and their affinity for cutting stuff. Then we got Xbox free play days, and we'll give you some of those titles, some stuff you can play on the weekends. We got quite a expansive list, actually. And then then Samsung had an event where they talked about the Flip 7, the Fold 7, and the Galaxy Watch 8, I believe. We're numbering convention, but we'll get into the details of that, and then we'll talk about our weekend plans. With that being said, I'm going to start off with our first story. Unless David wants to interject with anything, just kind of say hello.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll give you some smoke signals over here.
All right, cool. Well, like I said, we're getting the first story, which is Microsoft Teams finally getting threads together. As the title would imply, Microsoft has overhauled Teams channel with a fully threaded conversation. Again, a move that for anybody who's forced to use Teams or like us enjoy using Teams, it's kind of been long awaited. It's wrapped in a feature rollout. I think you can start using it. I think it might be live or it's public preview right now. I don't know when it'll be fully rolled out for like general viewing. They didn't have an update on that. But basically, you get replies are now nestled properly in the channel's discussion and readable instead of the chaotic mess it was on the side panel before. Users can follow individual threads or unfollow noise essentially. And it's a way to filter signal from clutter. A new follow threads platform has kind of been set up so that you can, basically just follow specific things you want to talk about versus, entire channels or people. And it kind of acts like an inbox for all the things that are related. So if you're in a special project and you want to kind of zero out all the, random GIFs and, communication threads from other people, but you still want to be up on whatever they're talking about as far as this, more pertinent information, you can do that. Admins retain control over layout, and the update won't break existing apps or bots, which is a blessing. Typically, when you do something like this, it's like, hey, we've rewrote everything from scratch, unlink your APIs and relink them again. Developers go and retest everything. Fortunately, that is not the case this time around. Like I said, it's in public preview, and I think it should be rolled out probably before school season starts again. So sometime at the end of summer, we should probably be getting the full version. What are your thoughts on Threads finally becoming a full-fledged communication platform?
It's about time. Threads and Teams. Back when we worked with other agencies and, before we kind of struck out on our own here doing Microsoft Unboxed, we both worked at other places where there was a lot of other people involved. And it was always difficult to be able to keep up with who was saying what. And, especially if you stepped away from your desk to get a drink or, use the bathroom or take a phone call, you'd come back and you would expect to see the thread of what people were talking about. But no, you sit there and you scroll up and down, looking for, okay, where was this? And, you'd start writing on something and somebody would say, well, I've already, had that discussion. Really, we're at, 3 pages up, just because you didn't catch it. And I think when you go to a threaded message platform, it reminds people of text messages.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing because, we always talk about, we have the group text with family threads and, you can tell what everybody's saying and what everything goes with. So I've been wanting threads for a while in Teams. I'm just surprised it took them this long to do it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Well, we are glad it's here. Again, we'll give you more updates as we get a chance to play around with it. I haven't seen the update come through on my end yet, but again,
I
it's
ain't either.
available now. So actually, I do have a couple update buttons. So stay tuned. I'm not going to hit it now because I don't want it to crash. When you're very, finicky when it comes to stuff like that. Especially, it's only when it's recording. I could put up 35 windows open, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I need to do a meeting or presentation, everything becomes like, shut down, close, frozen.
Or open that next one and the whole thing shuts down. You have to reboot your computer and start over.
There you go. Our next story actually is about, hopefully, who knows in the future if this will help out, Microsoft's new model, AI model. And that is called the 5.4 Mini. And it's a, small language model, SLM. Yeah, SLM. And it's apparently similar to its predecessor, 5.4 Mini Flash. And it's flash reasoning that uses 3.8 billion parameters. And it's an open model optimized for advanced math reasoning. It supports a 64 token context length and is fine-tuned on high quality synthetic data to deliver reliable, long, logic intensive performance development. So this isn't like a general AI that, we're all kind of accustomed to being marketed towards us. Like, hey, here's ChatGPT and it can create images and it can tell you love stories and all kinds of different random things. This is more geared towards research and processing or synthesizing more acute data. The core technology is built on a new architecture called Sambay, S-A-M-B-A-Y, which features a gated memory, a GMU, to enhance long-form reasoning and handling of structured input. Because of the way it's designed, Microsoft claims, these are Microsoft claims, that it has 10 times improvement in throughput compared to older 5 models. Again, these are Microsoft's other small language models. It has 2 to 3 times lower latency, making it suitable for real-time applications. And it has enhanced memory and conversation retention. All that might sound like jargon to you. When it comes down to it, here are some of the benefits of what those things can do, which means enhanced decoding efficiency, preserves linear pre-filing time complexity, increased scalability, enhanced long context performance, and up to 10 times higher throughput, as I mentioned. In real world terms, it means that you can basically do adaptive learning platforms. So if you're at a school and you're like, hey, I want to tailor specific learning models for individual classes, each class is different. I don't want them to have the same thing. You can do that. It is also good for on-device reasoning assistance, such as a mobile study aid or edge-based logic agents. So again, for research that is specific to a device that can support AI, these things would probably be better than just trying to load it up with the largest language models out there that have to basically sort through a bunch of different things. This thing is tailored and specific. It's good for interactive tutoring systems that dynamically adjust content difficulty based on our learner's performance. So again, if a kid needs a TA but can't really meet the TA in person, teachers can assign these things and it'll help them go through courses as they progress. And this can be done, sans an actual person in the room or in the environment. It's supposed to be, its strength is in math and structured reasoning, making it especially valuable for education technology, lightweight simulations. Again, if you're doing any type of STEM research or teaching kids about STEM, and automated assessments tools that require reliable logic interference and fast response time. So again, I think this would be great for education and research in active environments, so to speak, where you don't have access necessarily to uh, uh, larger computers or data centers access like that. So I think it's great. I'm glad Microsoft's working on these kind of things. I feel like these should be,
Mm-hmm.
you and I had a conversation off mic about how consumer AI probably needs to be less emphasized, and we need to start talking about, hey, AI is for businesses. Really, it's fun if you can get a hold of it, but it's really going to thrive and have purpose and produce revenue, actual revenue for businesses. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree with you. I think, this is schools. When you started talking about education there, that's kind of when my bells went off. Schools have limited money that they can spend on extra things like this. We haven't got to the point where school.
He gets choked up talking about schools, ladies and gentlemen. He just loves the kids.
Where schools are saying that, yes, we need to put AI in the budget. Schools here where I am are having trouble feeding kids and doing basic school tasks with some of the budgets they're having to deal with right now. So AI is just not in the budget, on a large scale for an education system or even a small business would come in and say, well, we know Microsoft has this large, this language model over here, but it's going to cost us $500,000 to integrate it for the entire school system. No, we need to, put that money elsewhere. This language model, I'm assuming, would run on device or on a small server, maybe in the data closet of a school, and everybody could access it and everybody could query it. And the schools could run it locally with their own infrastructure and wouldn't have to be paying Azure or somebody else to, keep that online and maintain it. So this is what I want to see more from AI, and I want to see AI do more, is put it in schools where students can see it, touch it, feel it, and get used to what results are generated by it, because mine and your time with AI might be different than what our kids grow up with. So now, let's do something like this. Let's get it in the schools where kids can use it, because whether we like it or not, we talk about it staying in business and, not doing so much consumer related. By the time our kids get to the point of they're ready to graduate, they're going to be staring AI straight in the face in some form or the other. And they're going to have to know how to manipulate it. Kind of like the joke that goes around. You and I learned how to program. That was what was big when we came through, with technology, was learning how to program and how to develop apps. Well, we've done that. Now, this generation, they need to know how to interact with AI. So props to Microsoft for, doing this model. I want to see more of these.
Yeah, to your point, it is mostly for to combat against Apple's private cloud compute initiative. It's to these things are it's supposed to have privacy gains as far as keeping user data off cloud servers as well. The model is already available in Azure AI Foundry, NVIDIA's API catalog, as well as Hugging Face if people want to go try it out. Again, underscoring the idea of making accessible. Hugging Face, I believe, is an open source kind of thing, if I'm not mistaken. So you can go and hopefully schools can get a hold of it. And again, to try and combat the deluge of terms and phrases for AI that don't mean anything. We would hope, ideally, you could use this in rural areas to help keep kids connected to education.
Yes.
If they can't to them. If a child needs to have, after school help and, they have to be home at a certain time, they aren't losing the efficacy of that teaching. The parent or teacher can craft a lesson plan for them saying, hey, you know what? I know that you live, 7-8 miles away from the school, and it's not easy for you to come in on a Saturday to get lessons, or you're out and about. Here's your tutor for the specific math class. You're getting it. You're moving from, algebra 2 to calculus, and you need some help. I've crafted a model that will help you bridge from algebra 2 to, I think it's right, or I guess it's trig. I guess whatever the next level is. I forget that our the hierarchy of math or whatever, but whatever the next lesson is. here it is, and it will work with you. And as you progress, it'll evolve with you. And if you get stuck on a section, it'll keep working with you. And it can do that without me having to be like, hey, let me step in constantly to make sure that this kid's okay. I can give it the model, and the model will sit there and say, all right, well, you're still stuck on this. Let's keep working. Oh, you've now gotten it. Let's move on to the next section until we get to that level. And then when the kid gets back to school, maybe this is over the summer or whatever, they're ready to get into that class. They were able to take the summer, learn that model. The teacher provided it for them. They are, ready to go for trig when school starts, versus saying, hey, I couldn't get to, I had no access to get to school over the summer. I couldn't do anything. Now I'm stuck doing Algebra 2 again. And I've wasted a whole, semester or trimester, whatever it is. So that could be the benefit if we were in, a more caring society. We'll see. We'll move on past that into the more cynical use of AI, which is OpenAI's threat of an OpenAI browser. I say threat jokingly.
I'm scared,
David
buddy.
Rubs his face. Yeah,
I'm scared.
Well, if this is anything like their operating system, we don't have much to worry about.
Well, that they're covering their bases though, because if you remember a few weeks ago, we had OpenAI search. They said they were going to take on Google. We've got the OpenAI operating system. So obviously they're going to take on Microsoft and Linux. So now we've got the OpenAI browser. So they just kind of, hey, we're just going to take over your PC here.
Well, they built from the other way. Like usually you had what was it? Apple had the iPhone that had iOS, and then they built a store. Windows had, Microsoft had Windows, and then they asked developers to help out so they could build a store. OpenAI started with a store, and now they're working to build out the operating system, the search, and the browser. Anyway, some of the details about this story are coming from, I believe it's, let me make sure I get the right thing down, Reuters. And this is, again, people talking on background. So this isn't like Sam Altman, which ironically, this guy can't shut up. I don't know why we're all constantly putting a mic in his face or whatever, but nobody officially has come out from OpenAI saying this is going to happen. But based on people on background are saying this is the new venture. OpenAI is reportedly close to launching its own AI-powered web browser, aiming to fundamentally change how people use the internet by integrating AI agents directly into the browser experience. Obviously, strategic goals are to compete against Chrome and Edge, Firefox, Opera, and all the other browsers that are about, because they need direct access to invaluable user data for training AI models and to control the entire web experience, shifting users from traditional search towards AI-driven interfaces versus waiting for Google to slowly do it as they figure out their transition model from search ads. Now, again, they pose a competitive challenge. We don't know many details about the browser experience itself or the UI or anything like that, but I mean, if the point of it is AI, I doubt that there's going to be a ton of it's called Chrome, which is basically the borders of a browser and like the tabs and all that kind of stuff that are associated with it. If it's looking to fundamentally change it, I think it's just going to be more of like how ChatGPT is, where you have a box at the bottom or somewhere on there, and it presents you after you type in stuff versus presenting images and stuff beforehand. What are your thoughts on OpenAI trying to do a browser in 2025 from scratch?
For a company that can't figure out how to make money, they need to stop doing projects like this. I mean, that's, because, and I kind of took a shot at them there, and I have a reason for that. Number one,
I know the gloves are off this afternoon with you.
Ask Microsoft how hard it was to compete in the browser space after they started it with Internet Explorer and Google Chrome come along. Now, what makes OpenAI think? I'm going to go very simplistic with this. You open your browser, you open Edge, you open Chrome, all your stuff is there. It's synced. It's pretty. It works across all your devices. You can go from PC to PC, from tablet to phone, from tablet to PC, and everything's there. So eventually they're going to have to interface with Microsoft and Google, I would think, to even have a shot. at making this browser. And even if they did that, it's got to be fast. It's got to be efficient. Both Microsoft and Google are still battling the efficiency thing. Look at the amount of RAM that your tabs still use in Chrome, even with they've set up, where you can pause tabs, where tabs go dormant, where it frees up memory, where it stops loading tabs, et cetera, to try to make these things efficient. I think OpenAI is beating its head against the wall and wasting money that they don't have to build a browser. I think they're wasting money that they don't have to build anything other than AI. I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel about it, because I just don't see Microsoft saying, all right, we're a computer company, but we're going to go build cars. Apple tried that. Where's the Apple car at? The Apple car got canceled. They realized it was more than they could, do. OpenAI, Sam, you're not making money, buddy. You're using that investor money. Those investors are wallets have got little holes in them. The money is leaking out. Don't do other projects like this. I don't want them. I don't think anybody else does.
Yeah, well, more interestingly enough, the browser is usually tied to the operating system. That is your window into the internet via the operating system. Android has Chrome, Chrome OS has Chrome, Mac OS has Safari, Microsoft has Edge, and then there are other stragalongs like Firefox and Opera who leverage the other operating systems. ChatGPT doesn't have that. It does have its own app. And to get people to go from, I'm going to use what I've been using on my, whatever phone-based or desktop-based operating system as a browser, I'm going to download this, additional app, essentially a second app to ChatGPT in order to kind of do what ChatGPT already does. My question really becomes, what happens to the exchange? Because there was an exchange, at least Google set up, where it's like, hey, I will show your information that's on the internet at a price. You can advertise on our platform and through our browser, and I'll present it to you. Microsoft's exchange was early on with Internet Explorer, was like, I will show people your information. There won't be a price to it, but as long as you have information on the internet, my browser will present it to them. ChatGPT's offer is, I'm going to steal your stuff and present it to other people as my own. Good luck. And I don't know. I guess there's not much people can do at this point. Now, if your stuff is already on the internet, it's going to take it. I just want to know, is there a way for people to stop ChatGPT from stealing or scraping the information? Do they have an offering saying like, hey, when we present the information, the prompts, the links to you, here are the links back to the website for that information? Or is it just going to start crafting and, scraping the information and crafting its own responses based on that? And nobody ever gets attribution. The internet now just becomes, I guess, answer-based versus search-based, I don't.
I'm afraid that's where we're going, because what people don't realize, and you and I see this on the daily, nobody knows actually. Let me just tell you, you don't know what's crawling your website. You do not. You think you do, but you don't. I can tell you from somebody that has read many log files in his lifetime, you do not know who or what is crawling your website. And your content is stolen and or used on a daily basis. How do you think these SEO companies work, or, these people that, gather SEO data to build their tools to suddenly make your site better with SEO? They're grabbing information off of other sites using crawlers. And I am specifically not calling specific crawlers names.
Chrome.
Yeah. This kind of feels the same way, and we've suddenly got to this point where people are realizing, oh, GPT is stealing my content. Well, you're right. You're not wrong. But so's everybody else. And it's been going on. So what are you going to do to stop it? You're probably not. Because let me give you a little clue. When you stop one crawler, 30 seconds later, it's got a different signature and it's still crawling you. So the info's out there. It's being, it's being analyzed. It's being scraped. That's the word. It's being scraped. It's there. Can you file lawsuits against ChatGPT? Well, authors are trying. We discussed that a couple of weeks ago. Well, if you're going to file these lawsuits against ChatGPT, well, should you file one against Google? Should you file one against Bing? People have started realizing that, all this information, I didn't put it into Bing. I didn't put it into Google. I just use it. Mm-hmm. And people are going, well, how did they get it? OpenAI is doing the same thing. And they're probably using, if you want to get really technical for a minute, they're probably using code from somebody else's crawler. So the whole, that burns me sometimes. The whole, oops, my information is out there. Guess what? When you sign into something, the cookies, the crawling, your info's out there. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm sure when it comes out, if it comes out, we'll try it and we'll follow back and let you guys know if it's the bee's knees or if it's just another Dune project.
I'll tell you this: if I try it, it will be on a demo machine that has no other data on it because I don't trust Sam to not, just flat out crawl my PC.
I trust him to crawl your PC and steal everything. That is what I trust him. But if my data isn't in China already, it will be very soon. That's just the way I see things. I'm a nihilist in that regard. But moving on to our next topic, we got Delta Force. You guys want to tell everybody about this story?
Yeah,
moving on to gaming.
I wanted to bring this up. I know a lot of people may not know what Delta Force is, and I know we have covered this a couple times here on the pod and on the website as well. Delta Force is what I would call a competitor to your Battlefield type shooter. And I find it interesting that Delta Force is coming to consoles as the new Battlefield game has started slowly leaking out that EA is supposedly working on. Delta Force is an extraction shooter. Most people are going to play the PvP mode. You've got your capture the flag, your team deathmatch, your single-player deathmatch, the typical shooter type game modes that you're used to. Long story short, it's coming to PC. Oh, boy. It's been on PC. It's coming to Xbox. Let me make sure I get the date correct for you folks. August 19th. Mm-hmm. So be on the lookout for that one. I think, when it came to PC, it's free to play. Go pick it up on Steam. When it came to PC, I covered it on the website. I talked about it on the pod. It is still in my Steam library, still launched, and just an FYI, the PC version runs pretty well on your modern day handheld. Just dial your graphics back accordingly, and you've got a really good experience. It recently picked up controller support on the PC, which was kind of its avenue to Xbox. That's what people were complaining about because it was just a keyboard and mouse type shooter. So go check out Delta Force. And while I'm here, you've got, I don't have the date in front of me, Helldivers 2 is also coming in August, and that's a very popular title that has been on PlayStation and PC. We've also got Gears of War Reloaded that comes in August. And for somebody that wants something now that plays the sports games, College Football 26 was this week. So you've got about 6 weeks here of, if you're a gamer, it's a good time to be a gamer. My handheld batteries are charged. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Our next story is Forza Motorsport. It's a little less fun story, but needs to be covered nonetheless. I'll let you actually introduce this one as well.
Well, guess what? I don't. Let me just take a breath here because this one irritates me. Forza Motorsport got cut cut back in some of the Xbox layoffs. So let me get this pulled up on my screen here. Here we go. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Got it. Forza Motorsport, a cornerstone of Xbox's racing lineup, is the latest victim of Microsoft's relentless layoff spree. That came from my buddy Kareem over here. He wrote this up beautifully. The information, which spread across social media and gaming outlets, originated from Fred Russell. And if you go check out our article on the website, you can see Fred Russell's post. He says that Turn 10 Studios has been shattered from the Forza Motorsport space, and the team is no more. A very sad day for one of the best car racing video games. I loved my time there. Paul, I feel you. I feel every word of this. Forza Motorsport was built to rival Gran Turismo. And in my opinion, Forza Motorsport is one of the longest running, constantly updated, content added, deepest console motorsport sim available. And I thought it was doing very well because they continued to add content. They recently just added content a few weeks ago. So to see Microsoft axe one of the biggest titles, I'm going to go out on a limb. Forza Motorsport was alive and well because you don't continue to produce content for games or any type of software that is not doing well, that people are not playing, that you're not seeing the numbers of people enjoying it. So I'm going to venture off here. Is Microsoft cutting other things to pay for their AI ambitions? I'm concerned that we're losing cornerstone products. People continue to lose jobs. We continue to see Xbox cuts. We continue to see cuts among all divisions of Microsoft. For me, seeing Forza Motorsport cut, that was a dagger for me. I don't get that one. I would love to ask somebody why, but that's an answer, as a analyst we won't get, but it ticks me off. There.
Yeah. It was interesting that they cut the entire team for Forza Motorsport because, to put in context, there is Forza Horizon, which is the game that they are keeping.
True.
And that is it's a racing sim as well. It's just not nearly as in depth, and it's more arcade style. Like you have different locations, different gaming modes and options, different challenges. It is not here's a racetrack and here's you crafting the ultimate vehicle for that specific race track. And these tracks are based on live courses that other, F1 racers or, I guess not necessarily NASCAR, but most of the F1 racing areas are covering. They've gone for the more, I wouldn't say streetcar, but basically, streetcar arcade style. Like, you get a car, you can craft it, but it's made for these, imaginary races across different areas and things like that. I would have thought if the idea was to save money, but also keep the, audience, you fold them into one another. You start offering that same team at the skeleton crew of some sort, a section within Forza Horizon to say, hey, here's if you're into arcade racing, you can still do those races. But if you're into just crafting the ultimate machine and getting those turns down by milliseconds, we've folded Forza Motorsport into this game. It's just called Forza from now on. And you can, get DLCs for the Horizon stuff, or you can take the base game and continue doing your ultimate sim crafting. I've been saying this for years that I think Microsoft should be the platform for Sims. This is, to David's point, this is a little devastating because I'm a fan who came from Gran Turismo. I came the other way around. I was, played Gran Turismo on Sony. Love Gran Turismo 2 is one of my favorite all-time games. Sony took a long break, and maybe this is what this is. Maybe this is just another long break. They took a long break from making Gran Turismo games and then came back, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago with their latest entry for Gran Turismo. So who knows if Microsoft hopefully will backtrack on this idea, bring some of these people back. But to your larger question, why are they cutting so much? Why is, Forza Motorsport, which has been a staple, on the chopping block at all? Like it seems like a write-off at this point. But, is Microsoft really counting this many pennies to say, hey, we can no longer have these write-offs anymore? And if that's the case, maybe that's something to look into. We talked about this as kind of a ongoing conspiracy that Microsoft may have over-leveraged itself in AI, and now it's having to be more drastic in cutting this because, while Amy Hood is very good at manipulating numbers, at some point those numbers are just going to become the reality, and they're trying to get ahead of that by saying, hey, we're going to show you guys stagnant growth, but we fired a bunch of people, which is, what gets investors excited, unfortunately. So maybe this is what we'll see when it comes to, I think it's the end of this month or beginning of next month when they do their quarterlies and they say, hey, cloud growth and AI was marginally increasing, but we did get rid of almost, 9,000 to 1,100 jobs. So be happy. Let's move on to something a little lighter as far as gaming. It's still more fun to talk about, kind of going into the weekend. Tell us about our Xbox free play days. People seem to love these.
Yes, I have been surprised at how much people have enjoyed these because I enjoy writing these up every week, and I usually make sure I get to them every Thursday afternoon before or Thursday evening when Microsoft gives them to me to get them on the website for you guys. So after a week of off for July 4th, we did not have a free play days last week. Even though it was a holiday, I did look for you folks Thursday afternoon and even Friday morning just to see if Microsoft would sneak something out there. But we got some pretty good choices this week. This week we have Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Complete Edition. Just that name brings back memories for me. We have MLB The Show 25. That, speaking of a Sony title that made its way to Xbox finally. We have Poltergeist Possession Party. And if you're looking for something else, listen to me try to pronounce this. I'm going to call it Blasphemous. Blasphemous is a 2-hour time trial game. They did not offer a whole lot of info on this one. Just remember that they are heavily discounted during the free play days. For example, MLB The Show 25 Standard Edition, which I know a lot of people are going to be looking for, is down to $34.99 from your normal $69.99 level. Blasphemous is only $6.24, and Roller Coaster Tycoon got a hefty discount at $22.49. So make sure you check those out. Now, let me make sure I get this correct. Blasphemous is the trial, and you do not have to have a Xbox membership to play those. The others, you don't have to have an Xbox membership to play those. That's why they're called free play days. You can check those out on Xbox.com, or if you're on your Xbox, navigate to your subscription and slide down to free play days, and you'll see everything listed there. Free play days for new folks start on Thursday night at midnight, Friday morning normally, and last until Sunday night, midnight, Eastern time or Pacific time, Monday morning. So you got 3 good days there to get in some good gaming. Check it out and let us know in the comments, what are you playing this weekend?
Yeah, I got nothing to add to that. I'm gonna try some of these games. Actually, I used to be a fan of MLB. I don't think it was called The Show then. It was called something else, but it was on Sony. Maybe get back into that, especially as, again, we get into the dog days of summer where the only real sporting event we have here in the U.S. if you're not following soccer, is baseball. So I will get into that as well. We have our next topic, which is Samsung Unpacked. You and I both were kind of covering this. We were chatting about it during the live event.
Let's unpack it again, buddy, or at least
Yeah,
unpack
let's
our
do it.
opinions on it.
I will briefly just kind of give us an overview of what was unveiled. We'll get into the specs of all these things later. We got the Samsung Fold7 finally showed up after numerous leaks. They were leaking just like Google. It was almost seemed intentional to kind of set expectations for everybody, which is this new, thinner, wider, foldable. We also got the Flip 7, which is also wider, not thinner, just wider. But it does adopt the Motorola Razr full screen appearance. So it just has the little punch out cutouts or whatever for the cameras on the front, but you get the full screen. Aside from that, they didn't really update the operating system for the Flip really to accommodate the front screen. So you'll still have to use Good Lock in order to bring all of the intricate and updated apps to the front of the screen. Samsung sticking with their pre-curated, I think 10, 11 apps that they offer, which are like weather, calculator, things like that, inbox apps. And then we got the Galaxy Watch 8. Again, the numbering convention is a little odd, but it comes in 3 models this time around. Oh, I think last time it came around 3 models, but 2 of the models look very similar, the Ultra and the Classic. The design language is a squircle. They've fully committed to this circle inside of a square kind of thing with some rounded edges for all 3 designs. The regular Galaxy Watch 8 is a much thinner version of this. The Classic, which we were finding out, comes with the turned, I forget what it's called, the bezel thing that you can turn. That's an every other year product now. So next year we will have a version without the physical bezel that you can turn. And then there's the Ultra, which is just bigger. It seems like the operating systems for all of them are running the same exact software, so you're not really getting an advantage. There's no added, like the Apple Watch, which has like the deep diving, stuff like that. I'm not sure that that's the same case for this. But with that saying, we're going to backtrack to the phones, which probably people are more interested in. Want to give us some of the specs on these, Dave?
Let's get some specs up. We know that while I'm pulling that up, we know that the Fold 7 has a larger outer screen. Let me get where I can read some of these off real quick. Let's see, scroll all the way to the top. Here we go, folks. One more screen up. There we go. And I have pulled up the Flip and not the Fold. Give me just a second.
I'll get started with the Fold for a second.
Okay.
I think
Thank you.
215 grams. So again, it's actually lighter than the Ultra. So if you have a Samsung Ultra or you've ever touched a Samsung Ultra, it's a heavy phone. It's a dense phone. The Folds are pretty dense themselves because, again, they're essentially 2 phones on top of each other. This is lighter than that. So they've done a significant amount of retooling the inner hardware in order to make things smaller, thinner, and lighter in order to bring us this. It's 8.9 millimeters thick when folded, 4.2 millimeters thin when unfolded. For those of you who ever had a chance to touch the Surface Duo, that thing was, ungodly thin. So much so that the USB port would crack because there wasn't enough material around it. And after extended usage, people putting in, random USBs or whatever, the plastic around it kind of cracked. So it'll be interesting to see because this has a similar situation where it's as thin or as thick as a USB port opening, and that's it. Nothing really goes around the edge of that. There's no buffer or anything cushioned for it. And it has a dynamic AMOLED cover, 2 of them, obviously, with a wider screen at a 21.9 aspect ratio. So you're getting, it's not quite the width of an Ultra or a Plus, but it's, practically there. So you get a full outer screen, which I think is what we're going to talk most about. I think it's what most people wanted. It has it features 2600 nits of brightness, so it's pretty good. I don't know if it has the glare reduction technology
I,
coating, whatever it's
I,
called.
the Corning, what is it? The Corning, there, it's something to do with Gorilla
Corning
Glass.
glass ceramic too.
Yeah, the Corning Glass ceramic too. I didn't see that mentioned on the presentation or in the press release, because after the presentation, I went and pulled the press release to get all the details. And I saw it mentioned on the Flip, but I
I
did
did.
not see it mentioned on the Fold. So maybe there's a reason with the size of the screen on the inside or the folding mechanism on the Fold itself that they could not apply that.
It's a good question. The cover display is, like we said, is made of the Corning glass, Corning Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2, which uses a new crystal embedded with glass matrix to keep the screen durable and defect free. The framing of the hinge, they use a new hinge, but that's supposed to be strengthened by about another 10%. Under the hood, you get the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which could be good because it's more optimized and is more battery friendly, which is great because I think this one still holds the same battery as the Fold 6. So instead of
What
go ahead.
what got my attention there is in the press release it said the Snapdragon 8 Elite was designed for the Fold. So does that mean the Fold is the only one to get that, and the Galaxy S26 Ultra would not get it?
I think so. They do these tailored Snapdragon X chips for Samsung, basically overclocking them for the device itself. So I think that's what they mean by. I don't think the base chip itself is any different, but it's supposed to offer 41% increase in CPU performance. So again, we talked about them offering all this AI stuff off mic, and whether or not we've come to the end of the line when it comes to that being something that people are going to upgrade for software over hardware. There's a 30% increase in CPU, so you can get a little bit more done a little faster, and 26% increase in GPU. So putting all those apps on the screen at the same time is going to be a little easier to do, not because of the software, just because the CPU will allow it. Ideally, Samsung would have tricked around with the software to make it a little more enticing to do multitasking on there. We'll see. They're kind of beholden to how Android develops, and Google is very slow on multitasking when it comes to mobile devices. The Z Fold has a new studio, AI creative studio that uses different tools. It will host a 200 megapixel wide angle camera, pulling up to 4 times more detail. These are the claims, making content up to 44% brighter. But this is basically the camera set from the I think it's from the Ultra. Not quite the Ultra level, but it's like a hair below that. But it is better than what was on the Fold 6, which was a repurposed, lower grade camera setup. So night video should be better. Stabilization should be better. It supports 10-bit HDR for more color depth. And I think they went on sale or pre-ordered, obviously right after the event. That we offered in blue shadow, silver shadow, and jet black. And everyone says there's going to be a mint option. I haven't seen anything about that yet, but it has been reported.
I think the mint option is Samsung only. You have to get it from Samsung.com.
Oh, from the website.
Yeah, they did something similar with the S25s. There was, and even the last Fold. I think the last Fold had the Fold 6 had a jet black that looked like it had a texturized surface on it. I always thought that was cool looking, and the only place you could get that one was Samsung.com, and I think that's what they did with the mint version as well.
Now, it should be noted that this thing is now, what do we say it was? 18? Is it 1,800 or 1,900?
$1,999, $2,000, folks.
Yes, so don't go buy this out of pocket, please. If you are close to an upgrade, I say upgrade. If you are beyond your upgrade period and you can get a great deal, which again, Samsung is offering, most of the carriers they're offering anywhere between $800 to $1,100 off when you trade in a device, then go for it. But if you're just wanting this to have the latest technology at $2,000, I mean, I can't tell you how to spend your money, but I would tell you not to do that. Maybe wait for it. Again, these are usually the initial prices. They tend to Samsung tends to bring them down relatively quickly. So, if you can wait till school starts, they will have more deals, things like that. So just be careful with your money in this economy. That's my only advice to you. We also have the Flip. You want to tell people about the Flip?
Yes, the Flip was kind of cool, and I was never a really big flip phone fan, even back in the day, even though I own several of them. But the Samsung has officially launched the Galaxy Z Flip 7, which is a compact, portable, foldable with the flex window on the outside. That's the big feature for this one. You got 4.1 inches with a 4.1 inch outer display. They're calling it the flex window. That is a window where you can get your notifications, see your phone calls. You can interact with that window with certain widgets and apps, I believe. The main screen is a 9-inch AMOLED 2X screen when completely unfolded. It's only 13.7 millimeters when folded. And we have the Armor Flex Hinge and Gorilla Glass Victus 2, a 4,300 milliamp battery, which Samsung says is 31 hours of video playback. This one gets something that had slipped past me in the past. Samsung DeX is on the Flip. I thought DeX was on virtually all Samsung phones to begin with, especially the flagship phones. Maybe not some of the lower end Samsung devices that don't carry the Galaxy name sold at like Boost Mobile and those places like that. But we get Samsung DeX here on the Flip, so you can get that desktop experience when you're on the go. We've got the dual camera that features a 50 megapixel lens and a 12 megapixel ultra wide with a real-time filters and zoom slider and a dual preview option. As always, these are powered by Galaxy AI, One UI 8. And let's see, we also have the Galaxy Z Flip 7 FE. Boy, that was a mouthful. That is kind of the lower cost version, kind of like your FE tablets that you've seen. Doesn't look like they skipped on many features, though. You still get a 6.7 inch main display, and I still get a 50 megapixel camera. And you get video flex mode, which allows you to capture video hands-free, even without opening the device. The FE is available in black. And let me see if we have what colors the Flip are available in. I just had it right here in front of me. I'm not seeing it right now. Do you know the colors of the Flip 7 off the top of your head?
I think they're similar color. I think it's the blue, black, silver.
It's the blue. The blue, black. There it is. Blue, black, silver, and I think there is a mint green on. Yep, there's a mint green on the Flip as well. Those are pre-order. Pre-orders are available starting day before yesterday, and they all release on July 25th for public availability. And the Flips start at $10.99, so quite a bit cheaper to flip forward than to flip outward. So keep that in mind if that's part of your purchase decision. I have never used either one.
That Samsung also took away the digitizer layer on the Fold, so it has no S Pen support at all.
That's right.
Even if you were to use an old S Pen, it won't support it. Unfortunately, there's been, I could see why at $2,000 you'd want S Pen support, but I think the technology for touchscreen writing has gotten better, and so it's just the text and communication platforms. I don't know how many people are using the pen constantly to write stuff, written notes and things like that. I think people are using more voice dictation and pre-templated note-taking apps or whatnot. But again, this is just anecdotally speaking. If you're someone who does use a pen, keep your Fold 6. If you don't, maybe this is a good upgrade for you. Last bit of stuff we're going to cover is the watch. The watch doesn't get much different. We know Samsung bought a new health company as well, so they're going to be integrating a little bit more as far as the heart health stuff is concerned. I don't think I have any images of. Let me see if I can grab a video of the Galaxy Watch 8. But it does have, like I said, the new design is actually definitely eye-catching. If you are a fan of the Galaxy Watch 7 Ultra, it is very similar in look and feel of that one. They've made, basically a smaller and thinner version of those. So head to your local store if you want to try and check them out. Like I said, I don't think there's much else different as far as the software is concerned. Samsung just recently updated their watch software, so if you have any of the current watches, that new look and feel for it should already be there. I do think you will be able to do some new testing with just your finger. I don't know if it's antioxidant or some other stuff, but if you're really into that kind of testing or tracking, you'll be able to do that. Again, I think it's only on the Ultra, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it starts at $450 basically for the Classic, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one with the rotating bezel or whatnot. I don't know what the other prices are for the other ones, but go check it out for yourself. It's a cool watch. It's not a necessity to have with any of the phones, but it is pretty nice. And I do think you get, I don't know, did they replace Bixby on the watch, or is it Bixby still? I have a watch, but
well,
Google instead.
Let me kind of put an asterisk beside that, because I have not this year's Google this year's Galaxy Ultra watch. I have last year's Galaxy Ultra watch. I have it right here. And it comes default with Bixby. I'm assuming this one will do the same thing. Now,
Okay.
what you have to do, though, is a little tricky. It does not go from the phone to the watch like everything else does. No. You have to install the Google Gemini and Google app on the watch itself, then go into the watch settings on the phone and switch from Bixby to Google. Because I had, we had reported on this, and I had seen, Google and Gemini finally come to your watch. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was ticked off when I first got this watch. First thing I wanted to do was be able to control my smart home through the watch. And when you hit the, I call it the dial, when you press in on it to get to summon your assistant, Bixby would come up. And I'm like, that's supposed to be Google. Gemini shows on my phone. Why is Gemini not on my watch? No, you have to do it the reverse. You have to fix the watch first and then flip on Gemini in the phone. That took me a couple days, and I was about yay close to losing my mind on that, because I was not going to put up. I gave them the benefit of the doubt in the early models of the watch, but everybody says Google is now available, and I was not getting it. I was about this close to losing my mind on that one.
As we watch the video, I've also should note that they've changed the strap hinge on the phone, on the design, so that it lays a little flatter and a little closer to your wrist when you latch it. So that could be good. We saw it in the video. There's an example of trying to use it for Bluetooth charging. If you're anybody who has like a pad, usually the way you do is you drape the bands around it so it hangs off of it, because they tend to, on a flat surface, push the watch up. Because this new design to putting in the straps or whatnot, it lays a little flatter, so it should be easier for you. Now, with that being said, it means that you probably need to buy new watch straps for this new design, so you won't be able to carry those over. So just keep that in mind. That being said, let's wrap up and let people go about their weekends. What are your plans for the weekend, my friend? What are you up to? What are you doing?
Well, I'm going to go try to touch a little grass for a little while this weekend. Get some fresh air and go out and do a few things. But For the techies out there, I will definitely be on my handheld. I took advantage of a few small minor items at the Steam sale last week. So I've still got to get my buddy here my credit card statement. So he can help me out with that. Gonna need a couple $100 there at least there, buddy.
Hey, you and I will be begging on the same corner.
But okay, well. But I picked up some pretty cool stuff. I actually picked up Helldivers 2. I know that's coming to Xbox later, but I wanted to try that on the PC as well. It was a deal I couldn't pass up. I picked up a couple of racing games. I picked up a little bit of an indie title called Squad, which is more of a tactical shooter type thing to where you even have to watch how you speak to your opponents because your enemies can hear you conversing. So you do a lot of things with hand signals by hitting buttons on your controller, telling people where you're going and what you're going to be doing. So I'm going to be checking that out. I've really enjoyed that so far. And College Football 26. I've got 25 on my handheld that I've been playing with cloud gaming, so I'm going to check out 26 this weekend and maybe do a little write-up for you guys next week. One more thing, I've got a review coming on a Dino book that we got last week to review. I've got that coming up, so got a little bit of a busy weekend. Nothing bad, fun stuff. I enjoy doing it. And I heard you saying you were getting on an airplane to go somewhere.
Yeah, starting an actual vacation tomorrow. I'll be up in New Hampshire tomorrow afternoonish and hanging out by the lake. So I will be actually touching grass as well.
Look at you.
Just like you, I will be bringing my handheld to play on the plane and probably sneak off some hours when people are asleep at the lake or whatever. So I'll be doing that. I don't know if I'll be on social media as much, but if people wanted to reach out to us, where could they find you to start off with?
David PAJ 1978, that is over on Blue Sky. And I'm going to comment on something you said. My handheld is kind of becoming almost cell phone-like in a sense that if I'm going away from home for any reasonable amount of time, it comes with me.
Yeah, these things are great. And I think you can actually get the Lenovo Legion, the original, pretty good discount now. Not because it's relatively old. I think it's 2 years old, but still holds up pretty well.
$4.99 at Best Buy. I saw it yesterday. $4.99 at Best Buy. And today is the last day of Amazon Prime deals. You posted some awesome deals on Amazon Prime, and I saw something on Reddit this morning that somebody had said that the original Legion Go was $4.99 today at Amazon as well. I cannot verify that, but I did see a couple posts about it.
So go check those out. You can find me at Happy Hulk at Blue Sky if I'm out and about on the website. If not, we advise you guys to enjoy your summer, enjoy outdoors if you can, enjoy company, enjoy some good food. If you can't do any of that, enjoy your games, enjoy your tech, just enjoy something over the weekend. Because what else is there in life to do other than enjoy it? We will talk to you guys next week. Think may or may not. I'll say Dave and I will talk. Maybe we'll have a pod. Maybe I'll continue my vacation. Who knows? But check back at the website. I'll be writing still. He'll be writing as well for any emergency stories when it comes up like that. Until then, we will see you guys soon.
Have a good weekend, everybody.